Hello, dear brothers and sisters, followers of our YouTube channel and Facebook page. We would like today to share the main spiritual concepts of the recent Cathar Congress, which took place in Catalonia, Spain. Here today with us Father Herman, Sister Mina,
Hello.
Sister Mirofora, and me, Brother Borislav. Yes, so let's start from the very main concept. It was the opening of the Congress, the coronation of the Goddess Virgin Mother. John Bogomil dedicated many efforts, many explanations, many prayers to make this mystery happen.
Yeah.
Why it is so important? What was the main message of the coronation of the Goddess Virgin Mother as you understood it?
That her throne was restored on earth, that her presence was now opened again and re-established, which was all cultures of all times worshipped the Great Mother, but she was forbidden by most religions to be here, and this is the time where she's coming back to re-establish her throne and to help humanity.
But why did we have to make this coronation on earth, on this particular Congress? Is it not enough for her just to be in her might, in her power? Why does she need this coronation, this acceptance from the earth?
According to ancient calendars, is approaching the epoch of Goddess Mother. Goddess Mother. So, and metaphysically, it is very, very important who is ruling on the world, who is the, let us say, who is the king or queen of this kingdom, of this planet, let us say. So that is why Cathars, good people from different countries, consciously they elected as a prime being who is dependent, who is most responsible for all things in the way of decision and spreading its authority is Goddess Mother. This is very important. If not Goddess Mother, if we, let us say, if we elect, for example, money, or we elect some kind of powers, weapon, technologies, so these strategical things will give a paradigm for our society, for all planet and its destiny, which is very doubtful because of extremely accumulation of evil.
Many could say that why should you glorify and give power to Goddess, to Mother? Why not to Almighty or the Most High, the God itself? Why should it be female manifestation, female face of the divinity, Mirofra?
Our Mother is the only one who can help us right now. Like Father Herman said, our world is dying, and she comes like as a nurse. We need to be healed, we need to be purified, and we need to become 1,000,000 times kinder like her. We are her children, and we should behave like her. And she is a goddess of Immaculate Conception. Immaculate Conception is not some religious term.
Let's speak about Immaculate Conception a little bit later. It was also among the main concepts. Let's keep to the coronation. how did it happen? So basically, in what way we did crowning, we did crown our lady? How did it happen? Just is it enough just to pray some prayer and in a plain way to show the golden crown to the audience, representing of the mystery of coronation, or what was necessary to do from those who gathered at the Congress? How did the very coronation happen?
This is the same situation like in the life of each one of us, of human beings. Until you elect divinity, some kind of divinity, let us in this case Goddess Mother, to be your protector, to be your patron, to be your heavenly mother, to be that one who will form you in your spiritual way, in your spiritual path, give you special qualities and character in your spirituality and in your humanity as well. So until you consciously elect, choose, nothing happens. And the same situation is in the global level of all our planet, where there are a lot of different, let us say, forces which conquer, compete among themselves to rule and to usurp humanity.
So you wanted to add something? Please go ahead.
It happens in our heart, first of all, that we crown her and welcome her back
as our
to
person
earth.
queen.
Yes.
So we consider, after that, we consider ourselves as her servants, as her knights and maidens.
Yes.
And it's very important to realize that we change our behavior, that she is our personal queen. And the next step is realizing ourselves as representatives of some groups and communities. And we do it on behalf of them. So we represent some certain number of people who also choose the Heavenly Queen as their personal guide.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yes. We were gathered there on behalf of a lot of nations, a lot of countries came to this Congress to be representatives. So we represented the whole, all nations in the world to accept our Heavenly Queen on the throne.
Yes, please speak to microphone. And
yes,
sorry to interrupt you. Speaking about gathering, speaking about Cathar Congress, what is the idea behind the Congress of the Cathars, behind the very gathering? Why can't we just stay where we are and in a certain day, certain time, just to pray certain prayer and unite ourselves in this meditation, like some spiritual schools do, you know? Why should we gather and do something conceptual during this gathering? Why it is so important to gather, to your opinion, please?
Because we bring it out into the ether. It's not just for ourselves. When we gather with so many people together, it is many souls who are listening, many kind worlds who are listening.
We're being granted with the open ether.
Yes.
It's a gift
It's
for people who
broadcast.
gather.
Yes, it's a broadcast much wider than just this country.
Yes, please.
I would like I would like to just to remind you some kind of image. Let us take each other by hands in circle and make some kind of round dance procession. This is one thing. And let us now sit in chairs and think that we keep each one by hands and make run-downs procession. So these two images are completely different things, and they have different level of inspiration, illumination, joy, happiness, spiritual power finally. So that is why it is so important to be gathered together. And moreover, as we look back to the archetype of being, as they were called as circles of life. So all the universe, all living creatures, they are involved in these dynamics of together, being together.
Just Father Herman, can you imagine one angel sit over there, another angel sit over there, some deity like billions of light years away, and they are doing their own things. It's impossible to imagine. It's all in one unity.
Yes, there are dances of stars. There are dances of eagles in heaven. I was witness once when I was in high mountains in Spain. I saw the gathering of eagles, and they are beautiful, round flying, where they participated in miraculous way.
So we can say that it was not enough gathering in mind. So we need to gather more and more and more and cover the face of the earth with these congresses,
yes.
And have it more often and more international.
Yes. There is some kind of stream, this participation. So the participation in dynamics, not static, not in mind. This is a different story. So dynamic, let us say, like even electricity or in hydraulics. So if there is a stream of water or electricity, it must be movement. There is nothing in statics. So in spirituality and in life itself, there is dynamics.
Absolutely. And as John Bogomil recently mentioned, for the future unity of the humankind, and especially for spiritual people, it is necessary to put aside everything which separates us.
Yes.
Right.
It's not so important. It's particular things, and they just separate us and make us stay in conflicts, yes. And these unnecessary discussions and arguments. And just keep at least 1, 2, 3 things which unite us.
Yes.
Let's say kindness, love to people, desire to serve to humankind, and let's put it on a basis of our unity.
Yes, now is the time for all spiritual people to unite. We must dedicate every town, every village, every country to our Mother, so that together we can confront all darkness, all problems in this world, because Our Lady, she never lost one single battle yet, and so we must choose her. We have really no other choice.
We probably should dedicate several gatherings and videos to explain this mystery of coronation more. Because today it will be maybe general explanation of whole main concepts. So let us
Yes.
not stop too much and just go ahead.
Okay.
The next concept was the Immaculate Conception. It is absolutely unknown subject for the whole world, especially for Christians, especially for Roman Church, in spite of their glorification of the Lourdes apparition of Our Lady,
Yeah.
where she called herself, I am the Immaculate Conception.
Yeah.
It is unknown, it is unclear, and John Bogomil with Melchizedek priesthood, dedicated also a lot of time and explanation and prayers to this mystery, which they said will be the main subject of the new golden age.
Yeah. Would you like?
Jumping.
This great mystery needs to be returned to humanity. Immaculate Conception is our ancient archetype, and this archetype is sacred. It cannot be destroyed, but if it is neglected, then we have problems. So it needs to be remembered, it needs to be renewed through Cathar spiritual practices. John Bogomil, he's showing us how to do this, how to restore the spirituality of purity, of absolute good, of the Holy Grail, of Mary Magdalene, of Knights of the Round Table, of all the greatest historical figures who we didn't quite understand, but they had an important message for us, and we need to hear this message now, the truth.
Yes. I would like to mention that Immaculate Conception is very, very Cathar term. We know that since medieval times, Cathars, they loved, they not just worshipped, they were dedicated to, which is much more. I wouldn't like to speak about worshipping, but
Admiring, adoration.
yes, adoration, admiration, admiring. Even there is we speak about spiritual marriage with divinity. So
Exactly.
we speak about Lady in White. In Spanish they say Dama en Blanco. So this Lady in White is a goddess, is Mother Goddess. She appeared along all Pyrenees, which are nearby us, where we stay right now. And in the French side, Spanish side, everywhere there are a lot of traces of her presence. And this Lady in White is the lady who appeared actually in Lourdes, and the very place where were burnt at stakes more than 100 Cathars. And Lourdes was a Cathar castle. And finally, conquerors, crusaders, they get rid of these kind and pure people dedicated to original and divine purity. And later, several centuries later, Lady in White, she appeared and she said, I am the Immaculate Conception. So that is the very core of Cathar message, Immaculate Conception, which brings you back heavenly qualities.
It seems like there is no other way to get rebirth on earth in
Right.
this body without the Immaculate Conception.
Right.
Just thinking of yourself, I am new, I want to be new, it's not enough. Yes, it is necessary to have this desire
Yes,
to become new one.
right.
But there is what is needed is to be conceived from heaven and get new birth as a new divine being. So how does it happen practically? Can we speak about, can we explain, is it possible to explain the practice of the Immaculate Conception, the way it happens, or it is impossible at all?
Yes.
It is difficult, but it is to do with virginal love.
Exactly.
And it is opposite to the physical conception that we experience here on earth. And it has to do with the essence of the heart, We are born of the divine love of our mother, if we so desire, and if we are prepared for a virginal birth without interference, without a millionth particle of dark. It's only light and heavenly love.
Can we just represent at least some of the main conditions for the Immaculate Conception happens to a dedicated person? May I say first one, and it's just continuation of your words, dear Sister Mina. It's a virginal state of being, virginal way of living, which means absolutely pure, untouchable, virginal mind, vision, hearing, words, thoughts, acts, deeds,
Yes.
conscience, body state also has to be very virginal. So virginity, to my mind, is the first condition for conception from heaven will happen. Can you just add some other conditions?
Yeah, it's impossible to achieve this state on your own. You can only do it within brotherhood, sisterhood.
So environment. So there is need the mystical bosom, the spiritual womb is needed, and it is manifested in brotherhood, sisterhood of dedicated virginal brides and bridegrooms.
And of course, the same like in the image of earthly being pregnant and nourishing baby inside, as future mother does, the same our Heavenly Mother, she does. She conceives us, she nourishes us, she bears, she carries us. So, and these are symbolically the important part of our spirituality of the Immaculate Conception. So, where we feel vibrations of the heart of pregnant mother, with her love which nourishes us, with her, let us say, waters, pure waters, which wash us up, her formation as she forms us by the divine images, restoring in us that was lost, as we believe that something very important was lost and we cannot reach the stage of divinities, we cannot stay in fiery light, we do not have bodies of light, but with the formation of Divine Mother and her ardent, fiery Immaculate Conception, we can return back.
May I add, a desire to get this conception is also very important. It's also a condition, very important. It's not enough just to think, well, it would be better to just improve myself a little bit, to be a little bit better person, to be more positive, more friendly, more kind. It's not enough. There is needed a desire to become 100% new, totally different. So it means basically that all my previous world, mindset, relationships, connection to this world, my background,
right,
has to be absolutely transformed or
yes,
even just left behind.
yes,
And the new universe has to appear.
of course, and moreover, we can look at this world in which we live in. There is something good, there is something very bad. So this world is mixed. We are mixed. Everything is mixed. So the Immaculate Conception is that what is not mixed. This is absolute purity of what? Purity where there is no evil, where there is no violence, suppression, dictatorship, wars, shedding of blood. That is the Immaculate Conception. That is the Immaculacy. Immaculacy which carries absolute kindness, absolute goodness to all living beings.
Yeah, that's why it's important to let go of all our old selves, because if you want to be completely immaculate, we cannot mix our new birth, our new self, with the old one. So everything that we were, we need to let go.
So let's just resume this concept. More meditation on the Immaculate Conception is needed. More prayers, more thoughts about it, to
Yes.
discover it, to want to know deeper and better.
Yes.
The message of the Immaculate Conception is needed.
And practice of lie in virginal airs. Virginal air, breathe virginal air, virginal waters, virginal friendship, virginal communities.
Sorry for the what is opposite to Immaculate Conception?
Opposite to Immaculate Conception is vicious conception, as we say. Vicious conception. As Immaculate Conception bring to us virtues, highest virtues. So vicious conception open the gates of vices.
And it will be a reality soon that more people will choose this dark conception instead of Immaculate Conception, that more and more people would like to get genetic modulation and correction for their children, to conceive children in artificial way.
Yes, yes.
And it's all very, very questionable, and we have to be very aware. And there is no alternative other than Immaculate Conception.
Right, and that is why we see and we know that majority of people, they are kind. This is a nature of human beings. Be kind, kindness, goodness, to desire all the best to your near one, to reject all what you have in favor of others. This is natural quality of all people, of all good people. But good people may mistake. Good people may fall under strong influences of evil, and that is why needed, urgently needed mother which can correct its children, her children, sorry. And that is why we crowned her. This is returning back. Without crowning, without bringing her here, it is very difficult to make order of such important and fine things as our hearts, as our virtues, and finally where we go.
And it's good that you approached the next concept of the Congress, which is the cross of death and the cross of life. The sad truth is that the vast majority of people experienced only the cross of death. They suffer, they carry heavy crosses, they have pain and sorrows and tears. They sacrifice themselves, they just give themselves to other people, but they do not get instead no consolation, no happiness, no brightness, no light, no joy. And finally, they face the very death.
Right.
Without any hope, any bright future. And this is what is the cross of death. And the cross of life is something different.
Right.
Actually, many spiritual schools, they maybe without purpose, but they support the concept of the cross of death, that it is okay to suffer, it's okay to pay back your previous mistakes, and just you have to deal with this. It's a result of your dark past. So just shut yourself up and embrace this cross of death and wait, hope for some better changes. It's very, very, very it's not enough. It's just a part of truth.
Yes.
Very little of spiritual schools, not so many. We can speak about only few of anointed ones who live today, who understand the mystery of the cross of life, and John Bogomil is one among them.
Yes.
So let us just explain shortly, briefly, the differences between cross of life and cross of death. Please.
Yes, the cross of life is about love, suffering, the suffering that is blessed, the suffering that is that we experience because of love. And these two are connected. To be blessed, to suffer, in order to become more kind, to open our hearts, and we can turn this suffering into beatitudes. So this cross is to be embraced because it is the cross of life. It is the cross of beatitudes.
This is the very important thing which you said. The cross of death is never been asked for. You just have it.
Yes.
Whilst the cross of life is being offered
As a gift.
as a gift,
Yes.
and it is being explained what it brings with it,
Yes.
with
And
itself.
why we receive it.
And it's always a choice, and conscious choice of a soul to embrace the cross of life.
Mm-hmm.
Whilst the cross of death, you never have
You
choice
don't
for.
want it.
No, you just have it. You got it, and you have to just accept it. You have no choice.
And there's no ultimate.
Purpose, no.
Yes, and
no.
there's no love in it.
I would like to add that cross of death is something predestined, that you will suffer when you be born, you will suffer having diseases or living on earth, and you will suffer before to die.
It's very linked to the original sin.
And there is nothing which can console you. You are alone in front of this kind of fear, of threatening, of future sufferings, and so on and so on. So cross is not something pleasant. It's a tool of shameful execution.
And that's why some New Age schools, they just reject cross at all.
Right.
Which is partly makes sense because the cross of death is something which is unnecessary, and any human being has not to carry this cross of death. But we have not to reject the cross of life,
Yeah.
which is the universal instrument of divinization.
Yes. And now cross of light. What does it mean, cross of light? Cross of light, it's an entrance in your life of that very light, divine light, in present. For us, cross of light cross of life. There is cross of death, and this is a cross of life. Cross of life is manifestation of divinity in our life.
Just think of heaven, of heavenly deity, Father, Mother, and all angelic divine world to reveal to this unpure world. There is a cross is needed. The effort, some kind of reduction, sacrifice. At the same time, for earth to rise up to the heaven, to get the level of divinity,
Yes.
the effort, the cross is needed. But the cross of light, the cross of life.
Yes. Cross of life is one of the most central statute of the universe.
Like a column,
Yes. Principal pillar.
pillar. Yeah.
And not only Christ, glorified cross, the shameful tool of death, but each one of us, every person passing through passioning states, diseases, sufferings, situations of personal life, being dedicated to this universal light of carrying cross, dedicating himself or herself, will glorify cross. Cross of life will share its shining, its grace, and its life-giving forces to that person who accepts that cross of life. Why? Because this is the central point of victory of life over darkness through cross of life. Small suffering, but not with some kind of fears, threatenings, or idea that somebody should pay for something, for redeemed sins should be paid with some horrible death and so on. No, only because of love. Love is so great that is ready to make sacrifices to overcome darkness.
And of course, same condition is needed, and it is virginity, purity. There is no cross of life. There is no heavenly life without virginity. Unpure person, lustful person cannot embrace the cross of life and cannot live, cannot be in this pure divine world. That's why virginity, immaculacy, again, is very, very important. But let's jump to the next concept. We just remind you, dear brothers and sisters, that we go briefly across the concepts, and we certainly will dedicate more conversation and more videos to each of them, because it's very wide subjects, and we need to explain it more. We need more time. It's Eve, probably the most cursed woman in Christian history and in our civilization. And the concept, one of the concepts of this Congress was to liberate our mother Eve from the original curse.
Right.
That she was the reason of the fall.
Yes. And with this, return back to each woman their original spiritual and divine dignity, which they must have and explore.
And it's, yes, it's actually basic Gnostic teaching that there were two female beings, Lilu or Lilith and Eve. The first was Lilith, and she was modeled by Demiurge with Adam, and she rejected Adam as her husband, and she chose the very Satan to be her husband, and she became a wife of Demiurge, or black goddess, the mother of night, the mother of death, the mother of this material existence. And Adam and Eve herself, as a next step of this modulation, the program of putting the part of angelic world to the trap of the demiurge, Adam and Eve were put into the material trap, which was called the Gan Eden, or the Garden of Paradise, which wasn't actually a paradise. It was a laboratory of modification of human beings and preparing them for next projects of Demiurge Elohim. And Divine Mother revealed herself to Eve and encouraged her to taste from the tree of life, the tree of knowledge, what is good, what is evil, what is truth, what is lie. So she did. Eve tasted the apple from immaculate civilization, from the very heavenly treasure, and she was inspired. She was awakened, and the next what she did, she gave this knowledge, this apple of life, to Adam.
Yes.
And it was first Eucharist ever.
Name of Eve is that one who brings life.
Hava,
Yes.
from ancient Hebrew.
Yes. So that who brings life cannot bring death. She cannot bring destruction, degradation, liar, darkness. No. She is that one who brings love. Life. So if she brings life, so she brings something pure, opposite to darkness.
Sisters, what was your impression of this concept? How did you understand it?
That Eve was
Microphone.
that Eve was portrayed to this civilization as a temptress,
Exactly.
to tempt Adam, but in reality she received this knowledge, discernment between good and bad. And why was the demiurge against this? Because it exposed him. She then knew that he was the false father, the false god, and so the son of Lilith, Cain and Abel were not brothers. They were came from an opposite source. Cain from Lilith and Abel from Adam and Eve, and they had to flee this Garden of Eden in order to survive. And that now the image of the true Eve has been revealed and broadcast over the world to inspire all of us women that we are pure, immaculate daughters of our loving divine Mother and Father.
Yeah, it's time for all women to reject all this cobwebs, all this magic of Lilith, and ask for Immaculate Conception and accept our mother again, true mother, and become
And not
like
only
her.
ask Mirofra, but to give Immaculate Conception to the new humankind. It's a mission for womanhood, for motherhood.
Yes.
So the new Eves, the restored goddesses are needed for our planet. Otherwise, we will just die in this cobe net of Lilith, the mother of death. And we see clearly what is happening around us.
Yes.
And women were cursed for ages and ages, carrying this heavy curse of being the reason of fall, the reason of sins, and spreading this darkness around themselves. They were killed in thousands, in hundreds of thousands, and it has to be stopped. But there is a very tricky separation which has to happen within each and every woman between inner Lilith and inner Eve. As we men, we have image of demiurgs, this patriarchal image, and the Christ. So basically, each and every woman has to get rid of this image of Lilith, the mother of material, corrupted existence, which is ended, limited, and will die, and the mother, the Eve, the mother of eternal life. So Eve, it's a mother who gives eternal life. We will speak about this more, and let's just announce the next topic, which we have little of time to explain it today. It is the tree of life, or the Zoroastrian tree of Ameshaspenta. It's a universal structure which explains the whole spiritual school of Christ and Zoroaster,
Yes.
and lays in a basis of spiritual school of John Bogomil,
Yeah.
and it was also among the main concepts, and John Bogomil dedicated almost half of the whole time of the Congress to explain this Ameshaspenta, why they are so important, and how practically we use them every day. We will speak about this our next time. Let's resume our conversation. It was amazing gathering, our Pantheon. It was 36th Pantheon Congress. We had guests from many countries and from different spiritual schools. We got Sufis, we got Buddhists, we got representatives of Steiner movement, Rudolf Steiner, and many others. And it was just like a brotherly, sisterly communion.
Yes.
Without no differences, in one spirit, in one heart.
It was possibility to touch spiritual life, to be joined with the world of divine existence here on earth through hearts of participants, to feel spiritual reality in reality, and to be able joined with divinity, not in mind, not by some magic formulas or prayers, but indeed in breath, in your respiration, in your pulse of your heart.
Yes.
Pulsation of your heart.
Yes, these circle dances, they, when we really participate, we forget about our earthly worries, our old selves, our thoughts. We enter the world to elevate above our earthly daily lives, and so we forget about our differences and we elevate to a more celestial sphere, and this is where we unite in the heart of our Divine Mother.
Yeah, during these 2 days we left the material world completely and we entered the heavenly kingdom and we experienced unbelievable happiness, and we wish all of you to experience this joy as well.
Yes, and just at the end of our conversation, let's represent this book. It's not an accident that it got it at the table. Please, Sister Mirofra, can you just, in few words, the new volume?
In a few words, it's not a book, it's a spiritual weapon to defeat all problems in this world and to help us to establish the kingdom of absolute good again on the earth.
It's explanations and comments of John Bogomil on the legends of the Holy Grail, as he possessed the gift to read from the mystical library, from the archives of original scrolls. He commented in absolutely different way, which you ever
Yes.
had the chance to read.
And he doesn't only speak about these characters; they come to life, and he links this knighthood to modern times. We can be such knights. We can fight these battles. This knighthood is spiritual, of course, and we can enter this spiritual knighthood of good, and we should read it every day. It's inspiring. It's makes our hearts, sets our hearts on fire.
Read this book. Follow our YouTube channel. If you have comments or questions, leave them below. If you like, by some chance, this video, just express it and suggest your own subjects and questions, what you would like us to explain about our spiritual school, because sometimes we are lack of imagination. We need your help, brothers and sisters, and may peace be upon you.